what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the timeline here a little bit of the release. But you know, I think the important point of all this is to recognize that, again, as a member-driven organization, where these changes are coming from is from you. And we're constantly trying to improve the member web, because this is where most everybody is still going to do the exchange and engage other companies and collaborate with them. So this is an important piece of it, and we've actually already started working on the next release. I think we're going to be doing probably 2 releases a year. Is what we're really down to. Initially, we had started with 3 when we were doing a lot of changes, but really getting down to doing some things that I would say we're kind of in the weeds a little bit, and you're going to see that in this particular release. But there's also some really neat things I think you're going to like here. So this just give you kind of an idea of what we do. We started this back in May of what it is, that we got some feedback from the members, what they would like to see. And then we obviously go into a testing phase in September, and then we actually just last week out in San Jose, when we had our strategy day, got to present what we were going to do with the member web to the members. There was a couple of minor changes that they wanted to make, and so we're in the process of making those changes, and then our release date is expected to be October 27th. So we'll, again, right after we release this, not too long, we'll go ahead and start taking feedback. In fact, we already got some for the spring release coming up. So you know what's going on there. This is kind of it in a nutshell at a high level of what we did. I've got some slides on this simplified collaboration because and you'll see what we've done here is to try to make this a lot easier to find where there's a company that's got multiple departments. So we've actually created a little wizard that I think you're going to see that this is really going to help you as far as how your engineers will go out and try to find the right particular department and the right relationship, whether it be the basic or the premium TSA net, and what region, all those kind of things. You're going to see that here in just a minute. So that's probably the biggest thing that we did with this particular release, and we'll talk about that. We've got some other usability things that we did. We also made some other changes to the microsite, and most of you that I saw are on this call are taking advantage of the custom groups. And within those custom groups, you can have, and most of them do have, a microsite attached to that. So when you go to that relationship, it actually pulls up a microsite, and there's all sorts of things that you can do with that microsite, including adding documents and whether it be knowledge exchange or training exchange or whatever you want to, you know, it's really customizable as to what you can put in there. But the one thing that we heard from some of the members was, okay, well, if I put a document in there, then I need to be able to notify other people that are part of that custom group that a document has been added, and maybe they have the ability to go in and change that. So the last time we made a release, we made some changes to the microsite as far as customizing and who can see what and who can make changes. In this particular release, what we did was a little bit more on the document management side and on the notification side. So as to who is notified and what they'll be able to see and what they can do, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then Paul's going to walk you through some of the changes that we made to Case Exchange, which have to do with the new Lightning interface if you're a Salesforce user. And we've done some things with the web I think you're going to find really interesting with one particular company, which is IBM, and we wanted to show you what we're doing with them because it might be very well applicable to other companies as well. So we walk through, Paul is going to walk you through that as well. Okay, this is probably the biggest thing. Again, this is the simplified collaboration wizard that we put together. And this won't be applicable for all companies because a lot of them don't have multiple documents where you have to walk through and pick a relationship and pick a different department. What we did in this case, we've got Microsoft up here as an example because they separate things out by geo. So if you're a premium TSA net member, you're going to see the basic and the premium relationship, and then you're going to see all these different departments, whether it be Americas, EMEA, or APAC, and I think they've even got Japan in there. Companies like that, companies like IBM, where they've just got multiple divisions, it became really difficult for an engineer to find out what particular department and what relationship for them to actually go to. So what we did for those companies is we put in a wizard here. And what will happen is when you click on this select down here on the real site, what it'll do is it'll come up and say 24/7 or 8 to 5. That obviously is telling you, do you want the basic TSA net or the premium TSA net? And then if they have locations up there as far as regions, what we did was we said you could set up a particular document for Americas or for EMEA. So it'll actually walk you through that. Where is the customer located at? And it'll come up there with a drop down, a cascaded drop down, where you can pick what region that you want to go to. And the same thing with a product. So instead of having to scroll through all these things, you're going to see this in one big list that will cascade down, very easy to find. You click on that particular product that you want, and it's automatically going to pop up that contact document. So pretty slick little thing that we've done here. We will go in and selectively pick the members that we want to use this wizard on. Microsoft will be one, obviously. IBM will be another. There are several others that we've actually identified that we're going to be doing that with. So won't be applicable for everybody, but it's going to be a lot easier for engineers to be able to get to that particular contact document. Paul, is there anything you want to add on this before I move on to the next slide? Did I capture that pretty well?
No, I think you covered it well.
And one thing I did, if I didn't mention this, you see up at the top here, we've got custom groups. So if you've got custom groups, they're going to pop up at the top, and then down here in the bottom is going to be where you're going to select the basic or the premium TSA net. So that'll be the way that we'll identify that. Okay, and then here is kind of talking about the microsite changes and this notification thing that I was referring to. And again, this came a request mainly from a couple of companies, but I'd like to see, because a lot of you are involved in custom groups, that I think this is a area of this where you can add documents and do things like that that a lot of people are not taking advantage of. But what we've done here is in the notification piece of this, so if you were to post a document in that microsite, and then it will notify via email the users, and now we've added a link in there where it'll go directly where they can look at that particular document. It'll also show what was changed. You can add new comment or say something like this is a new version of something that we're putting up there. The ability to stop following a document or a microsite. So if it gets to be too much or that particular thread wasn't necessarily applicable to you, then you can stop following that and allow the document owner the ability to update it and not send a notification out to users. So there may be documents that, you know, this is nice to have up there, but I don't need to notify everybody in the world that, that we just put it up there. And then the other thing that we've done is we've added some more reporting features in there. So you'll be able to go back and see what documents that users accessed, they went and looked at, or they went and updated those. So we've got some new reporting features in there. And then in the document, I can't remember, Paul, can you help me out on the format, what we did there? Is there
Yeah, it's basically formatting of the list of documents. So there were some issues where if you had a very long description, it would wrap the text and cause some issues. So we created some kind of fix with columns and things that just make it a little bit more aesthetically easy to view.
Very good. Yep, I remember that. And then we did some other changes. These are really more kind of aesthetic stuff, but we had up there resources instead of blog. So we now changed that to blog. What we refer to as the My TSA Net space, where you can actually go up there and put a tile in place that takes you directly into a contact document. We called it My TSA Net space. We never really identified it, so we're now calling it My Favorites. This other one right here is probably going to be a bigger one that affects those of you that are business or program managers, and that is that we will automatically add the escalation contact for a contact document. And if you're familiar with editing a contact document, you're going to see on that contact document Special Escalation Manager, and anybody who is a business or a program manager is going to have their name listed. Then you can go by and check a box on those that you want to be identified with that particular document. It does two things. One is, and it always has done this, is that if anybody ever submits feedback, then it's going to send an email to those people that are checked. What we're adding here is the feature that they're automatically going to be put into the escalation contact. And we've run into a couple situations where somebody will put in for escalation, they'll put in some generic user or something like this. So we need to identify it down to an individual level. And that's what this is going to do. So if you're an administrator, this could be something that you're going to want to look at if you want to change that. So you'll see that what it's going to look like when we get the release coming out. I've also added some reporting stuff here on being able to export a list of users. So we have a lot of people that are using that group login feature, as well as just have a bunch of people in there, so you can now export a list, make it easier to look at who you've got in the system. And then on the group login, we weren't showing you a lot of the detail here, so we've added that to show you who is actually going in and looking at that, which I think is also very important, because nearly everybody that is using the group login feature, and you really want to see who the individuals are that are using this system. Okay, and I think Paul, this is now you.
Great. Yeah, so the second half of the fall release is targeted at the changes and improvements made for Case Exchange. So just a refresher on this, this is another feature that you can activate. It's part of the membership, so it doesn't cost, and we have both a web interface that's integrated into the member web, and then there's also these connectors. So the first area that we improved was related to the member website. So this is for members that want to use Case Exchange, but they do not have a supported CRM system, or maybe they just want to take the web as a first step, right? It's very easy for us to turn this on. Members have used that as kind of a tester or a pilot before they implement the connector. But this is an example of a change we made for a particular member, but just gives you a sense of what we can do now. And this is a modification to the contact document where they wanted a streamlined way for other members to contact them if they knew the case number. So here you can see where it's actually IBM is the one that we're piloting this with, and they have the concept where if you know the PMR, we'll route this directly to the assigned engineer. So if you're working on a multi-vendor case with a customer and you know that they're working with IBM and you ask for that IBM PMR, you can get right in contact with the assigned engineer versus going through the process of logging a new case. So this is kind of a fast-track way to get into the right person very quickly, and it just shows we can kind of leverage these types of things with Case Exchange. So there's two pieces of this that we did. First is the ability to modify a contact document, and the second, if you go on to the next slide, Dennis, is changes that we made to the notification rules. So one other part of the using the web interface is that it comes with email notification, and we are now able to customize those emails that the members will receive. And there's basically kind of two different types of emails. It's either an email for a new escalation that's come into your organization, or an email if there's an update on an existing escalation. And what we're able to do is now format those emails so that members can potentially take advantage of some email integration to their CRM system. So for example, we can define in the subject line a specific format that if that's how you're bringing emails into your system, we can put some specific formats and embed case numbers and things in there. Similarly, we could do that in the body of the email as well. So if you have a desire to use the web, but you would like to get those emails into your CRM system, we now have a way to explore, can we bring those in? The other thing that we've done here as well is enhance those emails with some notes to the engineer. And this is obviously helpful for engineers that maybe they're not super familiar with TSANet. Maybe they get an escalation every couple months. So this would then give you kind of some ability to embed some instructions from an engineer on how should they deal with that from an internal processing standpoint. So just trying to make it very easy for members to adopt the web interface of Case Exchange. Okay, so then if we move on to the next slide, the last piece of the puzzle is an updated Salesforce connector. And this will be coming out right around the same time as the member web gets updated, so around the end of October. Members that are using the connector and would like to upgrade, they would follow the exact process that you would follow for any type of app that's for Salesforce, and that is through the Salesforce App Store. There's a method to go and update your existing application, so that's very straightforward. It's not a, let's completely reinstall. It's just upgrading the connector. But there's really three key things that we've enhanced in this Salesforce connector. The first one is the ability to have what we call cascading custom fields. So part of Case Exchange, you as a member can define the inbound template that you need to receive a case. So with that comes a standard group of fields, and also the ability to add some custom fields. So for example, say you wanted to have both the product and the version as part of the inbound escalation. Now you can define that as a cascading selector. So you select a product and it will show you just the versions for that product. So a lot of that is aligned on how Salesforce works. So that's a new feature. The other enhancements we have is support for what we call an inbound template message. And that's similar to what I showed you before for the IBM use case. So in this scenario, if you were to access IBM from inside the Salesforce connector, we can pop up a message that says, if you know the internal IBM PMR, please enter it here. So it gives you the ability to message to the user when they're escalating to you if there's some special instructions they need to follow when they fill out that form. And then probably the biggest thing is updating it to work with the Lightning interface. So if you're not familiar with that, or you're not a Salesforce user, it's essentially a new user interface that Salesforce came out with earlier this year, and some of our members are getting to the point where they'll be either testing or possibly migrating to this either end of this year or sometime next year. So this connector now will also work with a Lightning interface, and it's backwards compatible. So part of the focus on Lightning is the ability to have a rollout that allows users, if they want to still use Classic or they want to use Lightning, it should work either way. So we'll be making sure that that it conforms to that mode within Salesforce as well. So that will be the new connector, and again, we're getting some progress here as far as Case Exchange, some more members rolling out, and you can see here kind of the approach that we're taking, especially on the website, is what can we do to make that web interface a little bit more integrated into your process, and I think that's bringing more people to take a second look here at using the web interface if they're not on a Salesforce or other CRM system we support.
I might also, Paul, add something, a comment that you made out at the strategy day, which is, if you're not a Salesforce user or don't have a connector, we've made some really pretty good improvements to the member web version of this. So if you're not familiar with Case Exchange and you need a demo, and you're not even a Salesforce user, I think it's worth a look at the member web version of Case Exchange. It's going to be, I think it's very good for TSANet users.
Yeah, definitely, and specifically, if you're an existing TSANet user and you accept inbound emails as part of your process, it's a super easy decision to make, right? It's going to look exactly the same, adapt to your process, and really enhance that. So instead of getting free-form emails, you'll get very specific emails with all the information that you need to deal with that escalation. So if you're currently accepting inbound emails as part of other members' escalations, definitely give us a call, because I think we can improve that very, very simply.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? You can go ahead and click on the question bar there, and we'll be more than happy to take any questions. If not, we'll give you back a little bit more of your half hour here. Again, I would probably emphasize to you that as you use the member web and you go through it and you come up with anything like, hey, you know, I wish it did this or I wish it did that, let us know, because it's really important that we get your feedback on improvements that we want to put into the spring release. And again, we'll probably start working on that. I do not see any questions, so I think, Paul, you got any other closing comments, or I think we're pretty good here?
Yep, I think that does it.
Okay, thanks everybody for joining us, and again, if you've got any comments or need to talk to us, Dennis at tsanet.org or Paul at tsanet.org or Stephanie at tsanet.org, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. All right, thanks everybody.